What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And once a month, I host online conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's National Fatherhood Organization, and Dove Men Care. And it just finished a few moments ago. I heard the tail end of it through Aisha's television, and I just went, oh boy. So for those who don't know who they are two Black lady thought leaders in America. They drop knowledge bombs, usually on Thursday nights, but you know they had to be on tonight. You know they had to be on tonight. It's always a pleasure to welcome Aisha K, Staggers and Jill Jones. How are we, ladies?
Good.
I think, Jill, you got yourself on mute.
Yeah, she's on mute.
I feel good.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
I feel good.
Excellent. No problem. And the debate, as Jill said before we went live, it went longer than it was scheduled to. So
longer than it should have.
Of course. Well, ladies, people are watching already. If you have comments, put them on. We will monitor them, get up on the screen. Who wants to start?
I will. I'll start from the beginning. That was a hot, funky mess because Chris Wallace was just the wrong moderator. It's like he couldn't decide if he wanted to be fair or be Fox. It's like, decide which way you want to go. I was the constant interruption and him not calling Trump on it and not reminding him, you said you agreed to the 2 minutes. He did that like towards the end, but it's like, he wasn't, it was kind of like he was intimidated by the office of the president. So he didn't feel like he could be firm about the time constraints and about the constant interruption. So I think that was the very first inkling for me that this was going to go left.
Okay. Jill?
I thought that Joe was fabulous. He sort of like, he maintained my expectations of keeping certain facts and just sticking with, trying to persevere and make his points. I think we really got to see how much of a bully, Trump is, and he is captivating. All he cares about is landing seeds. He throws seeds out there like vomit, and whoever gets hit, it gets stuck on them. Yeah. I thought that, but as far as like the whole thing of the debate itself, I thought it was a soup sandwich. I think that Chris Wallace really, maybe that's not where he excels completely, because for some reason he was quite enamored at times with Trump, because I think Trump came hard tonight as far as like with his quips and with his very inappropriate and unpresidential and his lies. But we got to see what, how they reshape, how he was trained for the debate. Was interesting to see how they've already taught him how to reword the part where we spoke about actually Barack Obama created 1 million jobs. And Trump's whole thing, basically, they always just reword the statistic or find something else to say, I was the first at this. And people need to watch stuff like that when people are claiming those kind of things. But I don't know, that I thought that Biden did as best he could with him. He was consistent. He's never going to be, going at it. Although I really wished he would have thrown Donald Sons under the bus, talk about drug addiction, right? And talk about people making money. I think that Trump, we did see, I made a note, his Achilles heel. It's like that. What's that story where somebody said, "You call me stupid? I'm stupid." What is
Right.
that from? Oh, something about Mary or something. Don't call me stupid. Or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's from one of those movies. If you say he's not smart and if you laugh at him, it really rattles him, and people should do that more to him. Um, it really upsets him, and I think there's an inkling that if you go after his kids, you'll start to throw him way off base because it's really true. He has the arsenal to go back, but it was really nice of Biden to go. I don't really want to start dragging everybody's kids because there's plenty of us who can do that.
Right. One
Aisha?
of one of the things that I think, like I said, tonight you are going to see who wants to be president versus who doesn't want to go to jail. And all that fast talking that Trump was trying to do and talking over Joe Biden, it shows you he's a desperate man.
Hmm.
He is very, very desperate. And it's like he can't stop moving, can't stop talking, because the moment he stops talking, you will realize, and the American people will realize, that he has no plan, he has no record, he has nothing to show
Yeah,
for
he doesn't have a
anything
plan.
for the last 4 years. What I
It's true.
did like from Joe Biden was that Joe Biden continued to pivot to the camera to talk directly to the people, something that Trump never did. He directed all his ire toward Joe Biden. He never spoke to the American people. And that's a critical point. He doesn't
That's
talk
why he's
to
letting us
people.
die because he
Yeah,
doesn't really associate us with anything but being there to serve him. It was really, really quite interesting. Herman Cain didn't come up once when they talked about those rallies when Trump made a statement that he hadn't had any incidents.
yeah,
I mean, really? Your friend or so called friend died at a rally. It was really, really interesting because you're right, Aisha. He did not come back with things about his policies, what he was going to do, except saying that he was going to change something. And it was pretty telltale how he really feels about us. It
yeah,
was like, well, you lost people at H1N1. And
right,
then Biden says 14,000 people. And he goes, well, it wasn't as serious as ours. I mean, even the part about how he closed the borders and he lied and said that he had gotten PPE. We went through 3 months of that. I
right,
sent people PPE because I could get N95 masks and other people couldn't.
yeah,
Other people sent them to me, and we just had a little exchange going. So fuck you, Trump, because you didn't do that. I wouldn't have been risking my life going to
yeah,
post offices and whatnot to do this stuff. So he has a lot of caucasity to say any
yeah,
of that because his time frame, I'm sorry. I mean, that was just not on for me because we've really, for real, people pulled together. And I think he should bow down to every single first responder and everyone. He doesn't care about anybody,
but then did
nobody,
you
and
see
all
what
he
he
can do
did?
is attack him about, oh, you forgot that you're on number two, you're number. That's him, and
Yeah,
maybe that's if you guys watch that movie that's out called Comey Rules, that's on Showtime.
yeah,
Very interesting because I do believe that that's how he throws people off and hemming and hawing and grumbling and the faces. I do that stuff, but I'm not a president. I mean, I do that. Oh, really? Those are like when I get to that point, I'm usually like kind of like losing an argument. So, I know that my friends have told me that. That's how they know I'm like, oh, huffing and puffing over in the side of the room. So,
well,
It's well, just before you go on, Aisha, like we've got there people who are on live. Thank you so much for coming on live. And please, whatever platform you're on, please type in comments. This is a community conversation. It's not just all three of us. We appreciate you taking the time, especially if you're on the East Coast. It's like close to 11 o'clock at night. So
yeah,
um, interesting. Just a quick thing. I was watching on Twitter a little bit this evening, and there was a lady in Canada saying, "Is this the best America has to offer?"
yeah,
yeah, but it
yeah,
is that. I mean, it isn't, but maybe it is because I mean, let's be honest, they're both old, and I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question. We just have to persevere. I do like that Joe is open to certain things, although he wouldn't commit completely to the things that Bernie Sanders had in mind. But then again, I don't agree with everything everybody says either. I think that the main objective is to know that you have somebody who's flexible to work with and to do business with. So I would approach this as going into business with somebody or collaborating. And I feel that at this point, because everybody kind of micromanages and we're also vigilant at this time, I don't think the next presidents are going to have as much leeway or as much, not a lot of talk back. But we are not all going to agree with anybody. But that's the unnatural thing about Trump followers. It's unnatural, their affection
Yeah.
for him, because
Yeah.
they accept everything, even when he's trying to cut off their, health insurance, which Biden was right about. I mean,
Yeah.
Trump is like walking into your room and cutting off your legs with a chainsaw, and you're like, it's okay,
Yeah.
do it. I don't care. I know. That's all right. I know what you mean. That's the bad thing.
And that's one of the things that was so, just completely odd to me about this whole thing is that Trump, he now has a record, and he knows he has a record. It's not a good one, and he knows it's not a good one, but acted this whole debate as if Joe Biden has been the president the last 4 years. Like when he was asking him, did you make ventilators?
Right.
For what? Did you get
We
these?
we never got
What?
those
He's not
ventilators,
like,
by the way. We never got them. He
yeah,
hoarded them.
yeah,
Jared Kushner got those, and we still don't know. I know that Elon Musk made some ventilators and got those out to people, but Trump hoarded a bunch of them, and then I think he gave them to Russia. If
yeah.
I'm not mistaken, we sent a big care package to Russia of our ventilators.
But that was also like the other question that then Chris Wallace kind of jumped on him the same way that Trump did and asked him the question, well, why haven't you talked to any of the Democratic governors or mayors about the violence? And it's like,
Right.
wait a
I
second,
wanted to be
he's
like,
not.
why don't you talk to my ass? Because I didn't understand Chris Wallace on
And
that.
that's when Joe Biden said, I'm not an elected official. And it's
Exactly.
again, it was kind of like, oh, you all are forgetting his record. You can talk about his past record, but you can't act like he has been
No,
in office the last 4 years.
because there was once upon a time, there were rules about, jumping into it. This is already his, um, Trump's America. This is what he's doing. I've never heard, I thought Chris checked out for a minute on that question because I've never heard anybody even assume that a candidate running for office would take on leadership skills or leadership things
Hmm.
that the president at the time should be working on. That would just be like, really? And then we would have had to hear like how bad Joe was. He was
Right,
meddling. That was ridiculous. So Chris needed a big slap for that one. That was a stupid
right,
question.
So
right.
let's break it down here. Let's talk about 45 first.
Okay.
Did he do anything good?
No,
Did he?
no,
No, go ahead.
there was nothing that he did good because his, like we said
Mm-mm.
yesterday night, his one goal, one thing that he had to accomplish was to tell the American people to defend his record, one, and two, to tell the American people what he was going to do in the next 4 years. And he did not. He did not. He tried to defend his record, but he didn't tell the truth. Because remember what I said yesterday? If he's going to defend it, he has to be honest, which is something that he cannot do. So he did not tell the truth, and
No,
he didn't make amends with the American people to the point that people could then turn around and say, well, maybe. And then he didn't give a plan for the future. He didn't say
at
anything
all.
at all. He
But
didn't say
but
anything.
but but isn't that the party line? Because when they had their convention, they didn't have any new party platform.
They don't have
They,
one. It's
They
to
don't
they,
have
steal more money.
they don't
It's just to
they don't
steal
have
more money. I
they don't
think Joe
have one.
pointed that out, though. Joe made that claim. Joe got in some good ones where he said,
Yeah.
when Trump was saying, I didn't want to panic the nation, and he said, no, you panicked. He said that Trump panicked. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. He also said that the distribution of the vaccine, Joe caught the full sentiment of American people. We've even seen Trump supporters saying that they won't take the vaccine,
Yeah.
although they're not saying it's because they don't like Trump. They don't believe in this virus. And, I think
Yeah.
Joe made some great points about the masks and the rallies. And basically, you know, I don't know if it was the best debate, but I still would say that Joe was the winner because he came back with the most facts, the factual information, and he also had the most programs to talk about. All after a while, you would hear was just Trump trying to have these like Shecky Green comments or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like old timey, and it was really like it just shows you that you can't work with him. He's a bully and you do need people that know balance. And the one beautiful comment that Joe did make when they kept trying to force him to say law and order and law and order, and he goes, yeah, I want law and order with justice where people get treated fairly.
Yeah.
Trump, shut up. Because there was just a lot of that going on. And then,
But
Chris Wallace determining it's open time now, you
yeah.
can talk whatever you want. That was all just
But you know what
ridiculous.
tomorrow's headline should be? Tomorrow's headline, if anybody has the gut, should be Donald Trump would not disavow white supremacists.
He would not. That's very
He
true,
would
Aisha.
not do it. He
No,
would not do it. He told the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by.
right. But he
Stand
also
by is a
coded
wolf
it.
whistle.
And he
It's a code.
coded
It's
it for them
coded.
too about the schools when he was saying
Mm-hmm.
about the insensitive training that racial training. That was all code word for white people. They're trying to change uh, they're trying to say we're a bad country, we're racist, we're this. It was all coded. He still wouldn't say I don't want to have anything to do with them. You just have to know who he is. But I think in the best case scenario, I don't know how many people can actually. He did that in the last debates in
Yep.
2016. He just talks all over everybody. And yeah, his brain dead followers still believe it and find those landing points funny, but that's just their consciousness. You know, it's
Did,
just
did,
their sad, sick consciousness.
And
so did,
he's still, I gotta say this though, he's
yep.
still, when talking about Black Americans, he's still, when asked what he's done for Black Americans, the only thing he could say is, his first thing, I did the crime bill. He still has to compare Black Americans to crime. They go hand in hand for him. He didn't talk about anything about helping Black American families, about
Mhm.
helping our kids, taking care of this disproportionate stuff we have with COVID, or the fact that we are disproportionately being killed by police officers.
Exactly. And
Nothing.
Joe did. And I
Nothing.
hope that the black people who think they want to vote for him,
Yeah.
if you think it's going to get better, he basically has the police endorsement for this. At least we know that Joe Biden is planning to, on some level, even just from the people who he puts in his cabinet, we have no idea. They could be all kinds of people and working with the party. But all Donald Trump ever does in an argument is try to divide somebody. He doesn't try to listen. He doesn't try to answer properly. He doesn't do that. So after a while, I've got to be honest, I just started like doing things and got a little busy every time he went on one. It was just not yeah, he sees black people through the eyes of the law
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
and he does. And it's really, really tragic. He will not do, if he gets in, you will see more of the same of what we've been seeing in the streets and probably more
He sounds like a
because
slave master. That's what he sounds
yeah.
like when he starts doing that. It's like, you
I
know
don't
what?
even,
If
did
it
he
weren't
not
for
say
me,
Breonna Taylor tonight? Did he say her name again? Did he?
no. Chris Wallace asked Joe Biden specifically about Breonna
Because
Taylor.
I heard Brianna a lot from Joe, but
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
recall even
He
he
said.
never utters their names. He
He
never
said.
says George Floyd's name and he
That
never says Breonna Taylor ever. It's like
he,
they don't exist. He talked about somebody who got shot on the ground,
he was
you
talking
know,
about the guy. He was talking about, mind you, he's talking
the
about
boy.
No, he's talking about the right winger that got shot.
Yes,
And
that's it. Yes.
he didn't talk about the right wing guy, the kid who shot
Oh,
3 people and 2 died.
right.
Did not talk
Right.
about that. That all his supporters have raised like $500,000 for, like
Right.
just like they did for Dylan Roof back in
Right.
2015.
Exactly.
So
The,
that should tell you right then and there that he's a racist, just like Joe Biden called him out. And I was very happy that Joe Biden did that.
right.
All right. So did 45 do anything good?
No.
No, well, I mean, the promises again of, first of all, if you're running for a second time, you need to be able to tell me what you accomplished as opposed to things that don't exist. He speaks about putting all these jobs in place, but they don't exist. We're
Yeah.
talking about now, and now is the time. We're in such a crucial, thing. We don't need the freaking crucible anymore. We don't need that. We need a way to get out of this and to find the best solution and the people who normally can pull us out. And I've got to say, through every catastrophe that America has had, through the every time a Republican's been in, and we've always had a catastrophe, particularly, it's unfortunate, but the Democrats always have to come in and clean them up. That's
Yeah.
how it always goes. And they're the only ones who could get something back on track. And then the Republicans come around and pretend that they get credit for it. But it has to stop because he still doesn't have a plan for COVID. He's still talking about a vaccine that realistically Joe gave actual factual things, and he wasn't even saying that it would still be ready in the middle of next
Right.
year. He that's really very brave to say that, considering Trump is just promising you the world. He promised us lower prescriptions back in 2016. And that insulin that he's getting so cheap for water, who
Where's
are you giving it to? Because I got a few friends who really would like to have that, but
my
they're
mother
paying
would like
400
to have it.
and they're paying $400 a pop for the crappy ones that their
Hmm.
doctors don't even want them to have. He wants to make it where wait, this is very interesting. So the party that didn't want globalization is now going to start buying their prescriptions from Europe. That was one thing he said. And then the other weird thing was, which my husband was like, what? My husband wants to know, where are these forest cities in Europe that Trump is speaking about during climate change? He said, where are they? And he's from Germany. Wow, it's like been a long time. As we know, Trump and his family got kicked out of Bavaria, and they don't know a damn thing about a forest. I bet the closest he's gotten is to have a chocolate forest cake. That's about how much forest he knows.
Mm-mm. You know what?
So
And
go ahead.
the bar for Trump was set so low. It was like floor level, okay? And he
Yeah,
still couldn't step over the bar.
yeah.
He still missed the bar.
So when we leave 45, rating tonight from 1 to 10, how did he do?
Did he even rate?
Ouch.
I mean, it was the same as his Twitter feed.
Yeah, I don't know if that was, if anything, I hope it behooves every young person and person who didn't want to vote to go out and vote,
Yeah.
because this is what we're facing. And if you don't like the candidates that are up there and you didn't participate in trying to vote in primaries or whatever, you can only blame yourselves, because but you can't sit back and not do a thing about this. This is something where we all have to man up and accept it and stay vigilant and involved in policy and legislation, particularly locally. I hope everybody got out tonight and started reading who is in their district, what senators, what congresspeople. It's incredibly important.
Yeah.
So I want to shift from 45 to Joe Biden tonight. What did Joe Biden, and I know you've shared some things you thought he did well, but if you have to go over them, but what other things did Joe Biden do good in your opinions tonight?
He kept his temper. That's the
Yeah,
number one thing, because he did have to tell Trump to shut up.
he
That was
did say
that
shut
was
up.
He said, "Man, shut up." That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
And he called him a clown. I mean,
And he apologized because he doesn't like
and
to
he,
get
yeah, he
go
doesn't like
there.
getting, yeah, and he apologized, which shows you he's a bigger person. But I mean, he kept his temper. That was because I can just imagine being there. I was getting infuriated for him. Um,
Hmm.
and so that was the number one thing. He kept his temper. Then he also, I mean, he had policy positions. He knew numbers. He knew facts. Trump, on the other hand, his campaign should have told him, know your tax number that you paid. If you're going to say you paid X number millions in taxes, know the actual number, because this is going to be a question that comes up. And sure enough, it did. But Joe Biden, he knew everything. You could tell that he was well prepped, and he was well prepped. And someone there told him one of the things that he was good at was knowing certain things that would get to Trump. So one of the things that Trump doesn't like is being laughed
At all, which I thought
at
was
all,
great. You got to
which I
laugh at
thought,
him.
yeah, I thought was good. Joe Biden would just shake his head and start laughing,
Mm.
and you could
Jill,
see that anger Trump.
Jill, what did Joe Biden do good in your opinion tonight?
Well, I think he really proved to us through his 47-year career, or however it works. I think that politics on a whole, it's not something so concise or measurable. What you did, this party you're with, it's not really measurable about everything you've done throughout the years, because everything is its own zeitgeist. Everything has its own era of a zeitgeist of what becomes important to each generation. So I really wish that everyone would kind of put that together for what, it's like it's not all, you can't just string it all together, because we were different 40 years ago and whatever. However, Trump is a fine one to talk because he wants to take us back 47 years. The contradictions that this man uses are incredible. And I do like the fact that, as elderly as both of them are, we have one on the other side who has evolved, transformed, changed, as we all should as people as we get older. If I'm the same in my 80s as I was in my 20s, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with that. It's that we have a chance to, we all have free will, but we also determine what will we want to have and what choices we want to make after we decide who we want to be. It's not something innate. We know that Trump was not given, obviously, had some horrible upbringing, and and it's clearly not going to pass generationally because he's amoral. He's immoral. And so for me, Joe looks like the person who I feel at this point in time can consult with heads of state, foreign ministers. He can be in General Assembly meetings. He can talk about climate change. He can, if not, he will have those people who are experienced in those efforts, regarding how to interact with people through cultural and religious and all of the things that are required when you go into public office at this level. This reduces this down, and even the officials that some people are electing, like these Q people and whatever, it's great, but they really lack the cultural and the some of the intelligence and understanding that these all politicians really are social workers. They are the social workers of the world. They're supposed to be. It's supposed to be a world of diplomacy and a wheel of diplomacy. So we need to raise the bar a little bit, and maybe we can reshape the outcome, because the collective consciousness on this is we need people who can hold those conversations and find those people and put them in the right place, delegate the jobs. Trump wants his hand in everything, and all he's done is destroy every single agency. He wants to talk about climate change and not believing in scientists, yet he's the one who did all the regulations and the on the EPA. He's the one who stripped this land of everything. For that man to sit up there blatantly, and I have asthma, to tell me that the carbon levels are better, he can go to hell. I'm not stupid. I mean, we have technology, we have things that give us indicators throughout the years now. So the fact that I mean, I don't know who he's talking to anymore. Clearly, people who are not that intelligent.
Okay. So let me ask, getting back to Joe Biden, anything additional that he did well tonight? I want to bring up a point. Now, I know for a number of Americans, being presidential is not an important thing, but I think a country like the United States, and I live in Canada, don't Americans want someone who's presidential? And if they do, who looked more presidential tonight?
Well, we always have wanted someone to be presidential. It's just that it was the same way with Trump. The Republicans thought once he got into office, he would grow into being presidential. It was that he never did, and they couldn't force him to. They didn't have the control over him that they thought they would. So yeah, I think that Americans do want this return to the traditional presidential kind of statesman in office again. And I think that Joe showed that. You could see it in his temperament. You could see it in his knowledge of policy. Even
Mm-hmm.
even when he talked about foreign policy, they didn't even bring up foreign policy, but Joe went there, and Trump did not touch it because
No, he didn't. You're right.
Trump knows nothing about foreign policy. And so I think that Joe showed that he has the chops to do the job.
I love the fact that he brought up things like what we as Americans are going through. I mean, we don't have any money. There's a lot of people who probably couldn't even afford to watch this if they couldn't pay their cable bill, let alone their rent. It's so interesting that I like that Joe put it into perspective. If you are sitting here or wake up in the morning and the person you knew is not across the table from you, I don't think that that was just touching a nerve or trying a heartstring. We need more heartstrings. We need to know that there are people who maybe their lives are turned upside down because the breadwinner of the family died from COVID or something else happened. And we need to generate some kind of empathy back into the American people because Donald Trump is a reflection of the collective consciousness of America. So when you say, do they want someone more dignified and stately? I'm not 100% sure about that. But I do know that the people who are the most powerful in a situation like this are the ones who have the universe behind them, have good. Good always will win. It just takes a while, the patience. And if we've tried to, refocus people on Black Lives Matter, we need this movement. We need a movement period to address the killings and the shootings. And for Trump to keep going, well, you did this when this happened. Let's be honest, he wasn't the only one to have a crime bill. Obama had a crime bill as well, if I'm not mistaken. First things, the crime bill was interrupted by the Republicans and what they wouldn't allow to go through. Secondly, there was the Affordable Care Act. All of the things that are talking about, the mandates and all of that, those were in there because of Republicans, caveats in those special states. That was a Republican deal. Those were not supposed to be in there before, the mandate at all. But the Republicans, the way they started to structure it, they basically set up to sabotage the whole program. They couldn't ever get a healthcare system before, and I don't believe they'll be able to do it again. We will never, if they destroy the Affordable Care Act, we won't have it. I know that Joe understands it. They worked on it night and day, and even to improve what happens because we have evolved. So I love the fact that he is trying to really address some of our needs, and it is about us. I don't need to hear about old slewfoot Trump over there, doing Ronda John Gumby moves with that bum leg of his. I don't need to hear about it. I don't want to know anymore. I want to know about me. What have you done for me lately? Because I am not able to go out and sing and do shows and perform or do any of that because this ass, and it looks like I won't be for a very long, and many people won't be, because he failed musicians. He failed us incredibly so. I mean, you got people going on One and Only and getting Patreon accounts so that their fans can help support them. How much can we support? I give to GoFundMe's. I give to things. I mean, with this president in, I give the little bit that I can. But he doesn't recognize us. He doesn't know the American people's struggles. And I sure the hell don't care about his.
Okay. So as we begin to start winding it down here, if you are in 45's camp, actually, you know what? Let's talk about then how is this going to affect next week's vice presidential debate?
Oh, Kamala's gonna slay. And that's all I gotta say. She's Mike Pence is going. See, Mike Pence has a whole different temperament than Trump. He's going to go in there thinking that he can be like Trump, and Kamala has a different temperament than Joe. She's got black auntie vibes, so she's not having any of his BS.
Right.
I like that black auntie vibes. That's a tweetable right there, Aisha.
It is.
That's a tweetable right there. Jill, how is this, if at all, going to affect next week's VP debate, in your opinion?
I don't think it will affect that at all. I think that it's just, I think that she will hold her own, of course, with Pence. But Pence is a shadow character. I don't even know anything about him. And, you know, I think we will discover more about their policies, perhaps, and many more things they wish to do, because Pence doesn't get to do anything until they put that Barker voice in his voice, like for the dogs, because he doesn't always have it in, and then they have to, and he'll just go woof, 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 and you don't understand anything he's saying. And
he's like tofu. He has no flavor until you add stuff to it.
He actually just is he comes across incredibly weak, you know. I think that men will have a problem. His base of men, they don't like women, the incel group. They don't appreciate women. But I'm excited, and I really want to get that T-shirt that has the comma and the la.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so next debate. What does 45 need to do?
Shut up.
Talk policy,
less.
though. Talk facts. I think he lies so much that, and I actually don't see the point in some of the fact checkers. I wish the person asking the questions was a fact checker. I wish it was caught right then and there, other than like, no, I know Chris Wallace tried to do a few of those things, but I don't think it's, I think a big red note should come up and just should, maybe something fantastic like a bucket of water should fall on you when you tell a lie.
Or a big old buzz.
Or a big, like the Gong Show. Remember? Like, oh, that's not true.
Bring back the Sandman from like Apollo.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yes, Sandman. Bring Sandman out.
Okay. Aisha, anything you want to add? What does 45 need to do, in your opinion, for the next one?
I mean, like I said, he just needs to be quiet, be silent. He needs to listen more, and he needs to only focus on what he will do. And just stick to those things, and he, will be tolerable. I'm not saying he'll do great. I'm just saying he'll be tolerable.
Okay. So, Nicole, yes, there are 2 more presidential debates. And next Wednesday on October 7th, I believe I'll have the correct date, there is the only vice presidential debate. Right. So there's 2 more presidential, 1 vice presidential. Let's flip it on to, what does Joe Biden need to do next time out, if anything?
Joe Biden needs to just stay the course. Just keep telling people the truth. Keep telling people what he's going to do. Keep telling people he cares about them. He cares about their families, letting them know that he's the president who's going to care about what people need and what's going on in people's lives. Because right now, that's the one thing that Americans feel this president does not do, that he doesn't care, that he's not invested.
Jill?
I think the Bernie people are still going to be a problem because a few of them already I see are upset that he said he beat Bernie Sanders. They're getting a little petty and they need to fucking move on. I think that because any type of, you can only be a unified front when you stand together. I played Red Rover. I talked about this many times when I was a kid. The weakest link got people through all the time. We have to be solid as Red Rover and keep our family business inside and deal with that later and start trying to politically, because whining on Twitter and whining everywhere else and creating doubt in other people's mind is the wrong way to go. I think that Joe has to be able to be very clear about some of those policies like the new Green Deal and different things like that he doesn't agree with Bernie on. But I know what he's trying to do as far as like kind of stay the course a little bit as far as maybe being a little bit non-committal 100%, but those ideas can evolve over time. We've already seen where the people believe that Minnesota was going to do something with their police and defund them, and that everybody went back on that. So the whole thing is we have to make sure there are sound bites from next debates, because Trump's sound bites are going to be Hunter, $3.5 million, all these other things. I wish that Joe would have turned around when he goes, "Why'd your son get $3.5 million from the Russian mayor?" Even though it's not true, but it's fun. I would have been, because he fucked her so good. But I know I'm terrible.
That's okay, Jill. That's you, Jill. That's you. That's
but I do think that in all seriousness, we have to see Joe just keep on with the facts as much as he can. Right. And I don't know who's the next moderator, guys.
Not sure, but there's a question Nicole asked. Do you think that the Biden camp will say yes to continue the debates? Is what she meant. So this is one of the things I thought from the beginning. If you're
they already agreed. They already agreed to it.
Yeah, they already agreed to it. But if I was in the Joe Biden camp, I would have said, I don't want to debate him.
Yeah.
Because I was reading, there was an article I put on my website today about the New York Times, and the columnist said that 45 had more to gain from this debate than Joe Biden.
If I was Joe Biden, I'd probably say I don't want to debate him either. First of all, the way that Trump set up the debate, Trump had all his people on TV and on social media all day spewing out lies. Like, oh, he doesn't want to agree to a drug test. Oh, he doesn't want to agree to have his ears checked for suspicious, earbuds or anything like that. And then Trump's campaign was like 3 hours before the debate sent out a fundraising letter to his supporters saying that Trump won the debate. After tonight's debate, since we won tonight's debate, the debate hadn't even happened yet.
I know. I'm getting those things in one of my emails, and I didn't really understand why. I do feel that Joe Biden probably, we can look at it two ways. We can look at it at that it maybe 45 does have a lot to gain, and if his people think and they're that secure, maybe some of them won't even bother with the hecticness and craziness that's actually going to happen at the polls. So let them think he's going to win. He's not going to win. He physically won't get through the month of October. I just don't feel that he will.
And that's why he was so stuck on the voter fraud tonight. And the throwing
ballot,
out of the throwing out of the ballots and complaining about the 3 ballots that he says were thrown out with his name. He went back to
Can
it like
you
2 or 3
explain
times.
what that is? Because for me, it just seemed like gibberish, and it's like he became completely hysterical. So I'm like, what is that?
Well, apparently it was reported that somebody like in West Virginia or something found some military ballots. That first Trump's people or whatever reported that there were 9, then there were 7. Now Trump was saying tonight that it was 3 ballots that were thrown out that said Trump on them. Now,
but we know it's Trump's administration. Why would anybody believe that he didn't they didn't have people plant that stuff?
But
now here's the FBI is who supposedly investigated it. Trump's FBI.
But did he not, when he came into power, have this voters commission that Mr. Pence was head of that commission, and they disbanded that commission
because they only found 2 instances of voter fraud, and of those 2 instances of voter fraud, they were on the Republican side.
So he's running this story again. Yeah.
Okay, so before we finish off, we always have to say our question.
Oh.
Who do you think?
It's going to be Biden.
If it was tonight, if the election was held tomorrow, who would it be?
Biden.
It would be Biden.
It would be Biden, and I'll say because not in addition to what we saw tonight, you got to remember there's 1 million people who already voted, already cast their ballot, and so early voting always helps Democrats.
All right,
that's why they want to stop it.
Well, we're going to end it off here. We call this our late night edition. Well, not late night on the West Coast, on the left coast, but on the East Coast, it's our late night edition. But folks, we're going to be doing this for the other debates, the vice presidential one and the remaining presidential one. So as soon as they finish, give or take 5 minutes, we'll all be coming on and the ladies will be giving their takes. So as always, I'd like to thank both of them for coming on and spending some time. And I was looking forward to this, and you did not disappoint as usual. So Jill, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Jill D. Jones at Twitter or Jill Jones Universe at Facebook. And I promise next time I am going to cut out the profanity because I'm making a little list of things I'm trying to slow down on. So I promise.
You know what, Jill? We love you just the way you are.
I'm like a sailor. It's terrible.
That's okay. Aisha, how can people get in touch with you?
At Aisha Staggers on Twitter, and I'll probably be on there tonight watching some of the other reactions to the debate.
Something tells me that both of you may have a busy Twitter day tomorrow. Just
I think so.
I have a feeling you may have a little bit of a busy day on Twitter tomorrow. Let me just say that look, here's a comment here.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Because Dr. Vibe, it's so important that people know we have a lot of new 21st century challenges that it's going to be difficult. And Trump's not the one. He couldn't pass these 4 years. Why would you want to give him another chance?
All right. Well, that's the last thing we're going to hear from the ladies tonight. But they will be back on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. For other stuff, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. I definitely want them on Thursday to talk about the more and more information coming up about the Breonna Taylor case. It's getting very and just for people, if they did not hear today, one of the jurors has asked for all the information that was submitted to be revealed to the public. So
tomorrow,
yes,
to be released tomorrow.
So get ready. They'll be back on Thursday. And again, thanks very much, ladies, for taking the time. I know it was always a pleasure. It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2018 award winner in the innovation category given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I'd like to say thank you for everyone who came on live or on replay tonight, or who's going to watch this on the replay. Sorry, my mistake. Especially like to thank Nicole from Toronto. Thanks for your support as always. It's appreciated and not taken for granted. As always, I like to end off my conversations like this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. And remember, you're blessed and highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Thanks for stopping in. Get some rest because they got more coming up on Thursday. Good night, everybody.